Right. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So we're starting the meeting, inshallah. We're waiting for people to join. So we have a few seconds to go before 10 o'clock. Anybody joining? Saqalain Siddiq, mashallah, joined. You all unmuted from my end, so if you want to talk, just unmute yourself and speak. So we have Roja joined. Welcome, Roja. Alaikum salam. Welcome, Thaqalain. Hello, Roja. I can't hear you. You can unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Who's that?
Dr. Ghannam, Isam. My name is Isam Ghannam from the Muslim community. Used to have interfaith dialogue years ago.
Right. Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah, 2001 and
an event at the Post House, I remember.
yeah, with Simon Lloyds and the rest of the group.
Right.
Yeah. So it's nice to see you again.
Okay. Well, I thought I'd log on and say hello and
yeah, good. See, you can help us. Yeah, you can help us with the subject tonight. So the subject is once you're dead, there's no life after death. So
yes.
So I want
a substantial topic for this time of the evening.
Yes, yeah. The thing is that I want people who will join, obviously, probably they enjoyed the day, so they have to practice some intellectual discussion at this time. Probably leave the TV. The time's not fixed. Probably if we find that there's more people interested in earlier, then we could move it earlier. Depends on the participant, actually. So, so you want to start?
We had one comment from our group. Thought she would like to participate, but didn't think she could make a Saturday evening.
Yeah, it could be during the week, probably. If we move it during the week, we'll see what the rest say. It depends on people suggestions, really, because it's not like fixed on stones. We just move it. Depends on the participations.
Increase the scale.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if we don't get good response on Saturdays, we will move it to during the week. Hopefully we'll find a night like Tuesday night or Monday night, whatever. So being now fresh participant to our intellectual dialogue, what is in your view about next life? Is there a next life? Is there a way to enlighten us, Roger? Roger, I meant you, not Roger passing to somebody else.
No. Yes, funnily enough, when I read your topic, it reminded me I'd written a poem back in the 1990s, which had actually been was published in our church magazine, which was trying, I suppose, to reconcile the shall we say, the faith view of heaven, of hell, or life after death with the more scientific situation. My background is physics and engineering. So, one thinks about these things.
So do you think science and technology and advanced discoveries helped the idea there is life after death, or it didn't?
Well, it certainly gives you pause for thought. Yes, I was just trying to think the best way of putting this over. Hang on. Look, I dug out this poem.
All right, yeah.
I'll read it to you.
Yeah, read a couple of lines of it and let us see what's you.
Well, it's 6 verses long.
Right, okay.
Right?
Start with 2 verses and let's see then.
Well, it was called Eddies.
Yeah.
Are we but eddies on the river of time? All of us similar, the same basic design, existing by virtue of laws so sublime, written by nature or by the divine. For just as the eddy or smoke ring in air has substance and being, it's but transiently there. You can see it and feel it. It makes leaves swirl about. But in a few seconds or minutes at most, it decays and is vanished, not even a ghost. We remember its passing, and some make their mark. Powerful tornado fells trees in the park. Fluid mechanics is the science that describes the life of the vortex and much else besides. Everyone similar, but not quite the same. In our case, produced by the sexual game. Everyone different, no two alike, defined by our genes and experience of life, made in God's image, but changing each day, until one by one, we pass on our way. A collection of atoms in meaningful stack, forming a code that defines our friend Jack. His innermost thoughts, we can ascertain, whirl swiftly about his electrochemical brain. When doctors observe the inactive head, the conclusion must be that poor Jack is dead. But all is created by God's timeless law. So rather as 2 and 2, 2 plus 2 make 4, Jack's spirit will endure forevermore. Our knowledge of life and the universe is about as limited as this verse. In John 14, it says it all. There are many rooms in my Father's hall. Just bear in mind, as our path we tread, to follow the way that the teacher led.
Nice, very good. Yeah, Thaqalain, you joined us from the beginning. What, Thaqalain, what science gave you to confirm that there is life after death? Or did science confirm there is no life after death?
It's
no.
First of all, Roger, hello. First of all, I'm thinking I'm meeting you for the first time. And to everyone else here, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to this evening. Yes, it's a difficult question. Admittedly, it's not something I know too much about. I would say, Dr. Hanam, probably science, I would say maybe it's a bit controversial. I don't think there really is a scientific answer you can give that can prove the existence of life. I think, Roger, your poem very nicely alludes to that. You need to have a more, I think, a more comprehensive understanding. I think the one thing I have found, because I'm a medical student myself, and science, growing up, you're taught science as if it's like a discipline that governs everything, which is true. It does. But it governs the natural world, and there are assumptions which is more in the philosophy of science. And one thing I think you realize as a religious person is you're continuously told about science as if it's the be-all and end-all. And in matters like evolution, this comes across as well. Whereas in actual fact, there is more than what meets the eye. And actually, science in its current understanding has particular assumptions behind it. So obviously, it's very materialistic, for example.
So you didn't find in science any confirmation there will be life after?
Not really. Well,
no.
I mean, one thing I can think of medically, which I think
let Roger come back. Roger.
Well, I agree with what you say. The belief in a life after death is one of faith rather than
right. So you don't see, you didn't find in science what's. Can we ask those who joined us recently, probably Basil? Do you have any confirmation from science there will be life after death? Basil Khudur?
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
No, I never heard like there's anything in the science, honestly.
No, what about Ilyas? Ilyas Ramadan? Are you still connecting the audio? Yeah. Yeah, it's connecting the audio. We had in Islam, probably I might have to share. Yeah, are you connected, Ilyas? No. Do you like me to share some presentation about what Islam says? Because one of the things which we actually have in the Quran, that the universe is created and never eternal, and science actually came and confirmed that, the Big Bang theory and things, that the universe is created. So it's not eternal. So because the universe expanding, if it was eternal, would have disappeared, dispersed in the space, and the suns would have lost its heat and died. So the suns are dying, depends on age, but if the universe was eternal, all the sun would be in there. So we are told the man is created and he will die and will resurrect. And science now tells us that, yes, you could, after a person dies, you could take a couple of cells from him and clone it and bring him back to life, like bury the sheep. They try to say, yes, you can. Because
the sound's broken up.
The sound.
The sound's broken up.
You're breaking up a bit.
Okay. Can you hear me now better?
Yes, I'm fine. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have used the mic. I'm abandoning the mic now. So science says that you can, even if you have one cell, you can clone the person. And finally,
you're broken up again. You're broken up.
The sound is. Can you hear me well?
Yes, now.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the in Islam is it's saying that like you said, that when the person died, the Prophet said, Salam, he said that there will be part of the person will never perish, and from that part he will be recreated, and the bottom, the end of the spinal cord now the end of the sacrum bone, sorry. So when science came and said that, yes, you can clone somebody if you have a couple of cells, and they tried to take cells from Dolly the sheep and made Dolly the sheep, made science confirming, yes, you can resurrect the person. So this is one of the things which is, even when the Prophet mentioned, he said that the earth will never destroy this part of the body. So the Big Bang theory, if you take it, and the universe wasn't there, and then the universe created, and then the universe is dying, they're saying 12 billion years from now, we wouldn't see any living star. All will go, all will vanish, and our sun will vanish in 5 billion years from now. They are too ambitious, but in the Quran that says that way before that the universe will end. So in a way, I found that science is actually more confirming there will be more the chance for life after death, more realistic, really, than being just faith without having evidence.
But the continuity of life, it would be difficult to imagine that one as an individual continues. At a simple level, when somebody is resurrected, are they as they were as a child, or in their prime, or as
the resurrection in the Quran and the Hadith in Islam, you will be brought back 30 years old. So we'll be.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
From the remain, which is the last part of the sacrum bone, will be built up and come out of the ground like plants, and the spirit will come and join the body. Right. So in the Quran, the spirit will join the body. When in Islam, when the body is 120 days old in the womb of his mother, the angel come with the spirit, and he blew the spirit into the body, so he'll have body and spirit. When the body is dying, then the angel come and take the spirit. It could remain alive for a few hours or a few minutes or a few days, sometimes years, but there's no spirit. So when the day of judgment, the body is you, the remain of you, of me, will be built up. When the cloning came, subhanAllah gave me, oh, that's great news, because we thought before, because people say, I want to be me, I want me to come back, I don't want new atoms. So the hadith, the Prophet said that, yes, part of you will remain and will be brought back to life and come out of the ground like a plant coming out, and the spirit will join the body. Then the whole, all the people will be, when taken to the assembly by God, then that's between heaven and hell, and then the whole universe will change. God will change the whole universe to a new one, which will never perish. So you will have a universe who is lit by the light from God. So it's not, there's no suns in the paradise. So this is why I see in the science, it's like when they were looking into the DNA and the chromosomes, and then we discovered that your character is stored in the DNA and in your cells. There's also in Islam verses saying that the spirit, God speaks to the spirit when he created them, all the spirits created, and he spoke to them. And then when they are inside the body, they will be searching for God. So people switch them away from God, right, left, or center. So this is why God sent messages to correct the belief, because otherwise it will be. Now, Ilyas Ramadan, we have another brother who joined us as well. If anybody wants to, like, I want to ask a question to, when you come to life after death, when somebody says once you're dead, there is no life after death. Now, one of the things we are not able to discover in the lab, because I'm a doctor as well, in medical school, they didn't teach us about the spirit. So the spirit is you, come to the body, use the body. When the body unusable, the spirit go and leave the body. How would you convince somebody who's not believing in God that there is something called spirit? Any contribution?
I was gonna say this earlier, which is that no, basically the one piece of evidence that I have seen scientifically, which might allude to the existence of an afterlife, is the concept of out of body experiences, which I think Dr. Hanam, in your experience in psychiatry, you might have come across as well. This idea that basically someone might be in a coma, and then as they're there, they have an out of body experience where they can see themselves in the operating room or in the ICU, and then when they are brought round again, then they say that, oh, I actually felt myself out of the. And they've actually been, I at least from my reading, I've seen there have been cases where patients have described these experiences in very explicit detail, and they've actually been shunned by their own family members as being, oh, you're making it up, because people can't imagine such a thing. But that would surely point to the existence of something other than the material body within inside you, I would think.
So what's in Christianity about the spirit, Roger? Do you enlighten us to this? Can you hear me? Roger?
I can hear you.
Yeah. What's in Christianity about the spirit? The spirit in the body. Is there a spirit in the body?
Yeah, I mean, in Christianity, in many ways, it's very similar.
Similar to Islam.
Yeah, I mean, an Abrahamic religion, and yes, I think people's views evolve, and there are various denominations in Christianity that may have slightly varying opinions or beliefs. But the concept of the soul leaving the body and going to purgatory and then either to heaven or to hell.
Yeah, in Islam,
the Roman Catholics, for example.
When I teach my students in Sunday school that you can experience the spirit, the existence of the spirit every night. When you go to sleep, your body go more or less to a slow motion, even the brain slow down, even your blood pressure could drop to 20, even 30. It's not compatible with life, but pulse rate is slow. If you do an EEG to the brain, you will find that the brain also slows down. But you are still there, and you don't disconnect. You know you're there. You know you're asleep. So this is the spirit. And God said that God take the spirits when people die, and if they don't to die while they are asleep, so He will keep the one supposed to die and send the one who is not supposed to die back to the body to use. So the prophet said that by God you will die as you sleep, and you will be brought back to life as when you wake up. So the problem now with scientists, they have difficulty with consciousness. They're trying to locate the consciousness in the brain, and there's a lot of research done, a lot of work. They could never ever locate any center.
No, exactly.
Yeah, they couldn't say the spirit is here or the spirit is there.
But the difference between a person who's alive and who is dead is dramatic. I mean,
And some people, they go into vegetative state. I saw some people in vegetative state, and I tell you the truth, when I saw this lady in vegetative state, I never felt there is a spirit there. She is there, breathing, heart beating, but there's no communication at all. It has to be fed and turned around and physio done to her. And she said like this for nearly 9 years. I can see Fimi Ramazan joined. Fimi might tell us about the spirit. How do you know you have a spirit, Fimi? Unmute yourself. You just need to go to the mute. I let everybody can join with the video or audio, so it's not from my end. You need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. So how do you know you have a spirit in your body?
Because I'm alive, walking, talking, doing things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would be dead.
So one of the things also we experience in Islam, that the spirit in control of the brain. Can you prove that? Who wants to prove that the spirit in controlling the brain?
Assalamu alaikum.
I think it's true. Sorry.
Yeah, came eventually.
Sorry, we were all speaking at the same time there. I was just thinking, from a medical perspective, isn't a person sort of certified as being dead when there's no brain activity? Is that correct?
There's different things. The body will be dead on the organ level, like the heart might stop and the breathing things. On the cell level, might stay alive for a few days, but the spirit could leave the body before the body actually died, before the heart stopped. So when he goes unconscious, you will not be able to tell whether the spirit is still there or not. But you can tell that your spirit is in control of your brain, like when we fast in Ramadan. We don't eat, we don't drink. So we force the brain to behave in superhuman level. Or when you obey the law, when you go and there is a chance for you to nick somebody else's money or whatever, and you say no to the body. If you take your goat to Morrison or Tesco, the goat will start eating the green. They don't care about who owns it, whether they pay or not. If shoplifter goes, you will be looking into all these CCTV and stuff to steal something, because he knows that the body in control of his spirit controlling the body, and the body cannot just take it and go. The spirit. But I mean, Femi want to say something also before Lias spoke. You want to join again?
Yes, I was going to say the similar thing you just mentioned, because the spirit and brain work together. And there are, the good spirit obviously controls your brain. You think good, and you want to, as you said in Ramadan, and many things, you want to do any good things or help somebody and that. So you think your spirit is there and it's telling you, and then is telling your mind, and mind does what spirit tells you. If you're strong, if you have a strong spirit, a strong will, then mind does that. What is they're both actually connected.
I find the concept of spirit in Islam, obviously in Christianity, Judaism exists in all the heavenly religions. The concept of spirit on one side and the body on one side make it acceptable. Yes, the spirit will be there, the body will be resurrected, rebuilt, and there's life after death. If the spirit dies, which spirit doesn't die, the body goes, most of it perish. There's even a verse in the Quran that people challenge the Day of Judgment. They said, how would I'll just share this for you because I want you to see the verse. A guy came to the Prophet and he crushed a brittle bone and he blew it in the face of Prophet Muhammad, and he said to him, who will bring this to life after death? And God revealed in the Quran that the one who created it at the first time. So the one who created, like I said to my students, when somebody destroyed the table, who will bring the table? Oh, the carpenter who made it the first time. So don't worry about it. It will be even easier for him to bring that to life. So and God also said that even if your atom become part of a stone, or even merged, like fused and became iron, God is able to bring it back. And because God will keep these chromosomes in your cells, which is left, which is the end part of your sacrum bone, then it's straightforward, it's easy. And God said your creation and your resurrection as creating one single man. So a new creation, a new resurrection, as if I'm doing it for one person. When Ford came and started the production line, brought all these cars, he can produce thousands of cars because it's easy. Once you make the first car, the production line will be quite easy. And a lot of scientific discoveries made the resurrection and bring people back to life after death is more, conceivable, more acceptable to man. In the past, they used to believe in it in faith, just blind faith. While now we know you can, like Jurassic Park. I think many of you saw Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park, they took the genes from the mosquitoes who was in a raisin, whatever, which is scientifically possible. Although we haven't done it, but possibly, yes. And the fact that the Prophet told us that part of you will remain. I heard many atheists and many philosophers and many astrophysicists, they were saying, I want me to come back. I don't want somebody else created. And Islam say, yes, it's you who's coming back. Part of you will remain there. And you're not going to see one cell kept, because you only need one cell of you to remain till the day of judgment. But the Prophet said there's a larger part of this, and the earth will not consume it. It will be there. So when we are told this, and science come from one end to say that the universe wasn't there, wasn't eternal, and going to perish, going to disappear, and that's what God told us in the Quran, and in the Bible, and the Torah. So I think myself, it's more easier now to believe in life after death than those who existed at the time of Moses and Jesus and Muhammad, peace be upon them all. You agree with me? Any of you have different view? We have somebody no name on it, iPhone. Want to speak?
I just want to know about that. Is the spirit is the nafs, or spirit is the ruh?
The spirit, when the spirit enters the body, it's called soul or nefes, because it has a body to use. When the spirit leaves the body, it doesn't have a body to use. Like the driver is the spirit and the car is the body. Once the car is not usable anymore, not repairable, then the driver will leave the car. The car might be still usable in a way, engine running, but there's no petrol, there's no wheels, there's no this, no that. But what is not easy for me to understand, where the memory is stored, because I looked after a lot of demented patients, and the demented patients become very depressed or very anxious or sometimes very angry because he can't use the body. The body doesn't allow him to use the tongue to speak, and the movements and the arms and the legs, and can't express himself in a way people understand him, and he doesn't get what he wants. People can't understand what he wants, and he becomes depressed. Or some of them become very angry, and some of them become very anxious, and because I think it's the spirit's there, and he knows what he wants, but he doesn't have the brain cells, because the brain went into atrophy. The day of judgment in the Quran, that God will ask our skin to tell about the crime the person committed, and their eyes will witness and their ears will witness. So the cell seems to have, if it's intact, rebuild, have the memory, because it will rebuild. Whether the cell will have memory or the spirit came down with the memory, because we're told that God spoke to us when we were created as spirits, and then when we come back, the spirit will come back with probably the memory and knowledge. But when you are brought to judgment, you're not going to judge. You're not going to build the body from nothing. You're going to build the body from the cells which we preserved, and the spirit which preserved. The spirit is in a dimension called Alam al-Barzakh in Islam, that the spirit will be kept in a dimension. They can see what's happening around them, but they don't have the ability to participate because they haven't got the tools. The Prophet mentioned, peace be upon him, he said that the deceased, the person who's buried, he sees the people who come to his burial, and they they buried the body and they cry or whatever, and he can hear their walking and everything, but he doesn't have the tool to speak. But his body will be in the barzakh, in the dimension, different dimension. Now, when people talk about multiverse, because humans started now saying there must be other things, because only come from religion that there is something called angels and something called devils and something called, the spirits. And these dimensions exist around us, but we don't have access to it. So the Day of Judgment, there will be the devils will be brought into also judgment, the shaitan and the devils and things. So this is basically why when what took me to medical school and I went to psychiatry to understand exactly what the human body is, and it became like a pieces of the jigsaw. When it fill in its places, then you say, yes, I am going to remain. Part of me on a body level will remain, I'm told, and then the soul will remain there in the barzakh, and the Day of Judgment I will resurrect, be built up from earth. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad said, we will come out of the graves like this. And he lifted the arm of Abu Bakr and Umar. He said, three of us will come out of the graves. And subhanAllah, it's God's will that Prophet Muhammad buried. Next to him was Abu Bakr, next to him was Umar. And then Jesus will come back and he will be buried there. And then the four of them will come out, because Jesus will come back and die as a human. Obviously, our brothers in Christianity, they don't think that he's a human body and will die, but that's we're told the Day of Judgment, not the day, when Jesus comes back, we are told in the Quran that every Christian will believe at that time that he is not Son of God. But we have to wait till Jesus comes back, Roger, isn't it? What's in Christianity? Do you have in Christianity whether Jesus will come back and die or not die? Because you have that he will come back, isn't it?
Somebody come up with an iPhone, yeah? Yeah. I don't think the plan is that Jesus would come back and then die. More that we would join him with God. I don't know whether you heard me or not. Somebody chipped in with an iPhone.
Yes, he's there, the iPhone. But somebody else joined, Rafiq Bergma. Yeah, welcome. In Judaism, they also believe that Jesus will come back, isn't it? In the Torah. Is it mentioned in the Torah? I haven't read the Torah in end to end. I only read a few passages. But we in Islam, we have that Jesus will come back and he will die as a human, will be buried. But all of us will be resurrecting. But the only one which we are not sure of, the Prophet Muhammad said that when the Day of Judgment we resurrect, he finds that Musa is already alive. So he will not be hit by the sound from the trumpet. And the Prophet said, I don't know whether he was brought back to life before me, or whether when he had the collapse, the saqa, the hit when he requested to see God, and the God made him, he lost consciousness, had the shock, that was counted. So probably that was counted, he didn't have the saqa, but even, Musa will be come back. So this is, I don't know, I mean, this meeting has been interesting, really, because I want more of you to join. And hopefully you will. Do you have anything to say, Rafiq? Before I think we have only few minutes left. 2 minutes left. Yeah. Anything you want to mention?
Nothing. I came in late, but next time I'll try to come on time.
Yeah. So we're saying in summary.
I find it to be a very fascinating phenomenon.
Yeah. The summary of the meeting is just science came to actually confirm there will be life after death, more than what the atheists think, that science came to prove there's no life after death. Because science confirmed that the universe wasn't there, created, And we all know all the suns losing heat, and they would all die. If they were eternal, would have died long time ago. We all know that the man can be cloned from few cells if he dies. The few cells now in America, you have the cryonic states. If you pay $125,000, they will freeze your body until they find a cure for your illness. If you don't have that money, with $50,000, they will freeze your head only. So, but science now accepting that.
Then there are people who are, and then there are those who are so obsessed with.
Yeah, obsessed that, but don't worry, because Allah guaranteed, God guaranteed that part of you will remain till the day of judgment, and from that part, the end of your second bone, you will be resurrected again, and the spirit which will be in Barzakh dimension will come back and join the body. In Surah Takwir, where the nufus zuwujat, the nufus, the spirits come to the body, become nafas, because your spirit outside, just a spirit, no tool to use, no body. What's inside the body become nafas, and then you come to accountability day, to the judgment.